ladies and gentlemen, everyone around and in between. It is DebateSensei CEDA Edition, where we talk about things relevant to competitive debate for the Cross-Examination Debate Association. With me from that fine association is Director of Debate at Cal State Long Beach, Devin Cooper. Thank you so much, Devin, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Well, the Long Beach program has somebody who is reaching for that brass ring, that they are gunning for that top spot at the national tournament right now, and they have all the tools needed in order to achieve that goal, I would say.
Hopefully.
Yes, yeah. I mean, like, random stuff happens, but like as far as all year long, like being goal driven, everything like that focus is great. So I think that you are in a uniquely good position to be talking about what it means to transition your preparation strategy toward the national tournament. And just to clarify, for the national tournament, we're specifically talking about the cross-examination debate association tournament. The NDT is another episode in the future. It's coming a little bit later in the season. Does NDT always come after CEDA Nats?
Not always. Sometimes it's changed. Like last year. Last year, I believe it was after.
Okay.
But it depends on who's hosting it and when they want to put it.
All right. But the CEDA Nats, you don't need to qualify, right? It's open. You just sign up.
Open to everybody.
But the NDT, you have to get bids for. All right.
Yeah, I have to get either through first round bid process or through districts or through second round bid process.
Okay. And so districts is like just a qualifying tournament that if somebody places at a certain level, they get to go. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. It's kind of similar to Parley. We didn't have those districts qualifiers, but you could do a first round bid, second round bid, or they would call it an at large. They would just, to fill out the bracket, the remainder would sort of apply to join, even though they didn't get the numbers necessarily. Okay, so talking about CEDA Nats, clearly it's the national tournament. Everyone knows it's the national tournament, so that significance is already built in. But what is its reputation? What is how would you describe how this tournament might be different than other tournaments you go to?
I think it's the only thing that's really different is that CEDA is known as now the People's Tournament.
Okay.
So that pretty much means mostly K teams.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there are traditional teams that go every now and then, but for the most part, CEDA is where all the wonky, weird Ks and all that stuff come out.
Oh.
And where people have been debating in different districts, and now we all come together and see what the East Coast's version of K things are.
Okay.
And so this tournament is mostly folks that are K teams.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that they won't do stuff like go for framework, because that's possibility still. But oftentimes the kind of attitude towards framework at CEDA is just like, come on.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Now, does that mean that the traditional teams they have to really switch up how they do things for this one tournament?
Possibly, but sometimes they just don't. They just want to go through and just steamroll and try to do that. But problem is you got to have the judges that are going to buy it, and a lot of the judges in the pool are going to be more of the, K version.
Right.
But like not always. A lot of K judges are definitely middle to road more than what the other teams are that exist, in the traditional lens.
Okay. But nobody just passes on CEDA Nats, right? They're like, screw it.
Yes, you do.
They do. They just pass, huh? They just don't go.
They just don't go.
Wow. Okay. Well,
yeah, and they'll go to like ADA and CEDA. I mean, ADA and NDT, or just the NDT, or just ADA, depending on what level they're at.
Yeah, we weren't going to do an episode on ADA since that wasn't one of the tournaments that you traveled to, but like that's a
Well,
national tournament. When is that?
it's actually this weekend.
Oh, it
So
is.
so we signed up and we're gonna do it online.
Oh, okay. Now, just so everybody knows, we're recording this. How early? Yeah. Oh, not that early. It's yeah. Well, like about a week and a half early. So all right, cool. So you're going now. When's the last time y'all went to ADA?
2019.
2019. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Right before the world went to
Right.
smithereens. I
Right.
think it was 2020 actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it was yeah, it was March 2020 actually. Yeah, because this is the time in 2020 right before the world shut down, literally the week before. We went to the 88 Nats and it was at UNLV in
Mm,
2020.
okay. All right.
That was the
Um,
last tournament in person in 2020.
so it sounds like ADA is a lot more of the traditional policy
Yes,
arguments.
it is.
Okay.
100%.
And are you prepping for that, or are you going?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we think that it's practice for the NDT,
Okay.
because the CEDA is going to be a bunch of K teams, right?
Got it.
And so, like, now we're going to be here with the traditional teams, figuring out how to punch holes in that.
Okay. So it's kind of like almost like a sparring match.
Yeah,
setting.
but we're going to try to win it.
Of course. Of course. Of course. All right. So if CEDA is sort of unique in the fact that it's really about the critique and being prepared for that, I guess my first question is this the time people release new Ks that they're working on? Is it do you expect that?
And at CEDA, yes.
Yeah, at CEDA. Okay. Now, do they do it in the prelims, or do they hold off into elimination rounds?
It depends if they're hitting like a really big team.
Okay, they don't want to release a critique against someone who's not necessarily someone who they feel confident they might be able to win with one that they've been running all year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you're kind of expecting these new critiques, are you prepping new responses, or do you have to fall back on your what you prepared anytime somebody gets a new critique? Do you have a game plan already set up, or are you developing a new one?
We have a game plan already set up, and we also going to break a new AF.
You're going to break a new AF, right? So
Yeah.
you're doing one of your new critiques on the AF.
Mm-hmm.
But are you planning a new K on the neg?
No.
Okay.
No, because it's like the neg debates are going to come down to pretty much hedge, good or bad. It's pretty much what most of these debates are going to be. So it's like, why? At the end of the day, that's what their offense is going to be. Their offense is going to be either framework or hedge good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if somebody comes in and they're trying to steamroll, now y'all are probably set up pretty well for that, but they're trying to steamroll on a policy topic, or on a policy framework, I should say, not a policy topic. How does somebody else deal with that? I mean, if they're coming in and they're like, hey, I'm assuming that you have enough experience with your team that they could just kind of make that adjustment. But if somebody else is coming in thinking that they're going to have critiques every single round, and all of a sudden somebody comes out like policy framework arguments, what would you suggest?
Well, you're saying if somebody who is another traditional team, or
yeah, somebody comes in and they're like kind of like, screw it, we can't keep up with the K. We're going to go with our policy framework. We're going to try to steamroll this team.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They either find something, if they're affirmative, they're going to find something in their case that should outweigh our impact, right? And they'll say, consequentialism, existentialism first, and util framework and fiat's good, like all those things. They're going to have the really good defense of that. And that's going to be the thing that they use to hedge against the K if they don't have specific things to say.
Okay, but you're not expecting to see too many of those.
What? Like,
At CEDA,
oh, at CEDA. Oh
yeah.
yeah, at CEDA there is like one very direct K team. I mean, not non K team is going is I think Wichita State, the
Okay.
Babcock twins. And so they're pretty policy. So
Yeah,
you know,
and you're not foreseeing them making any adjustments to that.
no,
Okay. Hey,
no.
at so at Nats, how is judging handled? We touched upon this beforehand, and I'm assuming that how it used to be mutual pref, right?
It
But that
still is.
it still is.
Well, it is mutual press based on a rank, like a
Okay,
range, like the ordinal stuff. But
yeah, it's an
some
ordinal system.
tournaments, yeah, but some tournaments do mutuality where it's just like whoever you ranked mutually in the same place, you kind of get them,
Okay.
regardless of if that mutuality is based in like someone who's a mutual 70, which is
Oh,
well,
and you rank all of the judges before you go into the tournament. They give
mhm.
you a list of all of them, and and you rank them with no ties or something like that.
Yep.
Holy moly! I didn't know that. It used to like the
Mhm.
only mutual pref sort of system I knew of was like like maybe like a Likert system, like a 1 through 5.
Oh
But
no, we got it. We ranked them like for ADA Nationals.
yeah,
It was 1 through 82, so we had to rank 82 judges.
so that's one of the things that you got to prep beforehand is that you got to figure out who all these judges are. I'm assuming you probably know the vast majority of them,
Yeah. And
right?
then also the other thing too about tabroom.com is that you can fill out the prefs based off of a student or based off of a team. So it
Oh,
doesn't require like a whole lot if you know who they are. Like if you know who
oh,
your judges that you usually will go with, if you know who they are, you can just do the fill prefs thing
mm.
as a student, and then like all the rest that's left over, you just put them in place.
Okay. Are there different philosophies on how people? I mean, obviously, based off of like a traditional approach or a critical approach, but is there are there different strategies that are kind of like inside baseball, like things that people do to rank them?
Well, sometimes it depends. Like you'll try to figure out where other people might rank this judge to see if you can
Oh,
beat them. So it's like at ADA, we kind of ranked a lot of the judges that we want that are for us, like in the middle,
uh,
because a lot of the other people are going to rank them in the middle or lower.
mhm.
And so the people that we absolutely don't want, we put them at the very bottom,
Got it.
which
So
is a
then,
lot.
so then it's almost like the people that would naturally fall in the middle kind of get bumped up a little bit. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. That's an interesting sort of dynamic right there about like trying to anticipate who your opponents might be putting at the top.
Yeah, but you also can look at their judging record too. Like we can see it. And
Oh,
so if this person judges a certain team a whole lot and they're going to the tournament, that means that that team probably ranks them similarly. And if we want to not have them with that team, we're probably going to rank them a little lower so that we don't get them against them.
how long does that whole process take to rank
Hours.
every hours? Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, but it becomes easier at some tournaments that have like so many judges that like it's impossible for you to get this judge that you put at a 70
Mhm.
because there's like 120 judges. So,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
So what happens when somebody's like from a very, very different approach? You said what Wichita is just going hard policy. Their rankings are probably going to almost be like mirror images, flips of what you may be doing. What happens then?
At CETA, yeah, but I think CETA they were going to face they're going to face the fact that like there's going to be more judges that are K friendly than are not
Right.
at CETA. So they will have to do their prefs based off of like who are the middle of the road judges
Uh-huh.
mostly. The people that are willing to listen to framework or vote for it, stuff like that.
So it's kind of like a regression toward the mean, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, like whatever the average is between the two of you.
And I'm usually one of those Clash of Civilization judges.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just because like you have a lot of background in both approaches, even though like one of them
I
definitely.
mean, yeah, but for me, I don't have an ideological bend. Like I don't really care. Like if they win framework, they win framework. If they win the KF, they win the KF. Like
Mm,
I don't really care. It's not my career anymore. It's like I'm just in a position where I'm just trying to figure out who has the better argument and who has
mm,
not answered and who, you know,
yeah.
is able to point out the better model of debate. So yeah.
So you say that you're bringing out a new affirmative.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about how just difficult it is to put together an affirmative on anything, I would think that it would be kind of difficult having something that, I mean, how different is it? It's a weird question to ask, I know, but uh, because I don't know, is a lot of the research still overlapping, but it's you're just kind of making a slight modification, or is it
Well, so I think this app we've made major modifications, and then
okay?
like the focus of this app is a little bit different. It might have a few aspects of other affirmatives, but I've also like had them add stuff to it and
Hmm.
change stuff and insert different things. So this app is going to be a whole different method, I would say,
Yeah,
than
I'd
what
be.
we've been using.
I was a different method. That's cool. So, I mean, I was wondering about the how like the story you want to tell. There's some like pretty significant messages you want to get out in your affirmative, and you've been saying maybe a few things all year long, and
Mhm.
switching it up. It almost seems like does it feel like you have to, I don't know, that you're trying to get it as a surprise more than just like this is solid. Nobody has an answer to it. I don't know.
Well, I think we're just trying to go for new articulations of different arguments
Mm,
so that, because the people's coaches have already like researched pretty much most of our stuff,
uh-huh.
right? So it's just like, why go into a tournament where, these folks are already set up to like defeat some of the arguments or at least try to defeat the arguments that we've had prior to to this point. So they might as well make new AF and force them to have to like figure out some other stuff.
Right. Do squads ever work together on this? Or do you have any sort of network of people that you're working with, or is it fairly isolated until you break the AF?
I think it depends. Different schools have different companionships and partnerships and allyships. I don't think we necessarily do as much. I
Mm,
think my students might have friends at other schools that they help with certain things if their coaches are not really on their side about several things. But I never formally like work with another team because I think they're the enemy. So
yeah, the competition. The competition,
yeah,
right?
I
Yeah.
mean, in a debate round, they're
Yeah.
they're trying to take something that we want, which
Yeah.
is win.
Yeah.
So I don't really. I mean, I would say that if we would do a training session, that would be awesome. Like some scrimmage debates or whatever. I
Okay.
mean, that could be done. But like actual going through the research process and sharing information like that, not so much.
Yeah. Is there any espionage ever? Like,
That I don't really know. I'm sure it might be, but I know that like in a lot of cases, teams that are really traditional brand, oftentimes they do have like the same framework shells and blocks and scripts, and it's very interesting how that happens.
okay.
But I just remember when I was debating that definitely people would pool things to say
Mm,
against K teams because we used to hear the same arguments every single round, and it was like from a different school. And so it's just like, okay, so this is what y'all have been doing to like try to like usurp us and stop us from doing our thing is y'all kind of team up and create blocks and shells and evidence to use against us. And then like I think what happens is that the proliferation of those arguments happen majorly is when they win. When
okay.
they beat
Of
us
course.
on those arguments, then those arguments become like a thing that becomes a little bit more popular as a tool to use against us until we find better and better things to say to those things. But that only works if you actually invested and you're doing the research to find something better and to be able to answer them back. Because if you constantly are having the same arguments read against you, you're constantly losing to them. That means that you're not adapting, you're not researching and looking at the context and source of their arguments to be able to get better answers. Because that's what I used to do. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you got a new answer for us? Cool. We're gonna look up an answer to that.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, this is nationals though, so you I mean, you could look it up between rounds, and but it's tough, man. That'd be tough. Like once you're like, oh man, there's the new argument, we have to buckle down,
Yeah,
get to work.
but for us, like when going into CEDA, we're looking at more so larger theories of power as
Okay.
opposed to people's specific stuff, right? So like people that will talk about cap or racial cap or settler colonialism or anti-blackness or misogyny or any of those other particular theories of power, we can look into them and figure out what we're going to say against them as a stance, and then whatever else they have added to their affirmative, we will figure out something else to say to that.
Okay.
But the major thing in a debate with teams that are mostly K teams is being able to attack their theory of power and figure out how that could be controlled by another theory of power or addressed with a better approach.
Since this is an open, does that mean that like your first few rounds you might be drawing somebody who's technically like a novice? Does that happen very often?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they do get a novice breakout, but like,
Do they?
typically, yeah, if the students like dwindle down and like win one or two debates, they're going to be paired against probably another novice team anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if they're lower in the brackets, more than likely they're going to be hitting teams that are in the novice division mostly originally.
So,
But
is
yeah,
there a game plan for somebody like that? Like you're coming in, like, or you just go hard?
try to win as much as you can when you get down to the lower bracket so that
Okay.
you get into the novice breakout.
Okay.
I mean, we got two other teams going that are one is going to be like a JV-ish team, and the other one's going to be a novice team. So we're trying to get into a novice breakout for sure.
Okay. Okay. How many is it? Is it an 8 round prelim tournament?
Yes.
Okay, 8 rounds, and it's just one judge per prelim, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And does everybody with a winning record break?
Um, Everybody mostly yes, yes.
Okay.
Like CETA, it depends. Well, eight usually you have to be like five. I
Five
don't.
and three, right?
If
Yeah.
you're 4-4, that means it's like a triples type of situation
Right.
that we might have needed to break that, but usually it's people who are five and above.
And do they fill out a full bracket or do they have partials?
Uh, they have full triples usually.
Okay. Okay. So they'll probably pull up some 4-4s with high speaks.
Maybe.
Okay. Maybe. All right. If it needs to the filling out the bracket, then.
Yeah.
All right. Um, if people are bringing out new critiques and you're responding with the same negative arguments, are you working on new second line stuff for the 2N? Like, is that, are you like, I guess, like, are you luring them in with like previous arguments just to kind of come over the top in the next speech? Is that a strategy?
It depends. I mean, I know for us, like I tell my students, like you usually stick with what you know.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the negative, and like you can branch out when we're affirmative, because that's when you have to have like different articulations, because people are at the end of the day flowing all of your answers to everything, so they can make answers to those answers, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I say like we need to keep changing our framework answers so that the judges are not able to keep up as fast, like the coaches that are prepping against us.
So like the first line answer, the first line response is switching those up just to and then seeing how they respond to it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay. Um, how long are these days? How like for is it a 3 day tournament?
Yeah.
Right. So and if it's 8 rounds and you're going to trips, I mean that's 15 rounds total. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Is there one day that's worse than the others that you have to prepare for?
The day of the finals.
Okay, last day.
Yeah.
When did those like? When could you say that the final round would probably start? How late?
It depends. So what happens is that it's 4 rounds, and then there's a day that is 2 more rounds, like the triples and doubles.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that fourth day is the day.
Oh, fourth day. There's 4 days. Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
the fourth day is octals, quarters, semis, finals.
The big ones.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Um, okay. So how are y'all doing so far? Like where's the where are you in the project? Would you say that you're close to done, or is it
I
just
mean, we're mostly done, but
okay?
it's just like just getting specific cards against specific people. We've done groupings of people, like groupings of types of arguments and types of strategies. And so now we're just figuring out what will be the one in C against these people.
So do you have the one NCs? You have specific one NCs for specific teams?
Hmm.
Is the new AF that you're going to break? Are you breaking that? Are you breaking that in prelims? Like the first your
We might.
might? Okay.
I mean, if we're like, because I don't think we're gonna like break the new AF if it's like a team we're going against, and they're not like a team that's gonna be like high ranked in the NDT,
Yeah,
right?
got
We're not gonna break it against them. We're gonna break it against somebody who is like 4-0 with us or something like that.
got it. Got it. So like the first few rounds are fairly random, right? That is a question. Do
Hmm.
do they do any pre-seeding for this tournament at all?
Sometimes, but I don't know if they do that at ADA.
At ADA? Yeah.
Yeah, I know they do it for the NDT because that's how we're
Yeah,
coming in. Like,
obviously. Yeah.
hopefully we're coming in as a third seed. Hopefully, we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah.
But CEDA maybe? Or
No, I don't think CEDA does pre-rankings.
so your first couple of rounds are probably going to be fairly random as far
They
as
are. I mean, I think CEDA doesn't get serious until round 5.
so round 5. All right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the odds of you breaking your new AF don't really manifest until maybe around round 5, if not
Well, so at CEDA, we're not breaking any new Fs.
Oh, at CEDA you're not.
No, at ADA we are. If we,
ADA. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because ADA is this weekend. CEDA is
Yeah.
the 21st.
Okay. So
Mhm.
this will air. This is going to air after that goes. So secret safe.
Yeah.
Excellent. Uh, okay. It seems there's so many different tricky little things that you only learn by doing this for a number of years that like man, if I were a coach taking someone to see the Nats, I know I'm like, wait, we got to do all this we have to rank every single damn judge in this thing and sit down and do that. Oh my god, I wouldn't know how to do that. So thank you for shedding some light on these things that are hidden from people like me, even though I've been doing this for a number of years.
Welcome.
All right. So when we're going to be talking about, we're going to be doing a recap of CEDA after that happens, and we're also going to be talking about transitioning to NDT after that. So I look forward to those ones in the future. Thank you, Devin.
All right. See you later.